Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add Protein Cold Foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new Protein Lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
Spring starts at the Home Depot, and we are bringing the heat to your backyard this season. Fire up the flavor with our wide variety of grills for under $300, like the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill that's perfect for hosting your spring cookout. Then set the scene and turn your outdoor space into the go-to spot with patio sets for every budget. Bring it this season with grills that deliver flavor and patios that set the vibe from the Home Depot. Start your spring with low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Ugh, you said you were over him, but his hoodie is still in your rotation. It's time. Grab your phone, snap a few pics, and sell it on Depop. Listed in minutes with no selling fees. And just like that, a guy 500 miles away just paid full price for your closure. And right on cue.
Hey, still got my hoodie?
Nope, but I've got tonight's dinner paid for. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. List now with no selling fees. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Was that the best moment of the tournament yesterday? Of all of the buzzer beaters, that was the moment, obviously, with the greatest stakes. I would say as well, I was stunned that Duke lost that basketball game. The only time Duke trailed in that game before the end was being down 2-0. And Connecticut was 1 for 18 from 3 and shouldn't have gotten back into that game. But listen to how delirious UConn's radio announcers are when Braylon Mullins, the most unlikely of people to be doing this shot in this circumstance from nearly half court as Braylon Mullins goes off.
Back to Sarr, now ahead to Caden Boozer, and a steal! Mullins gets it! It's Caravan to Mullins, long-range three! Oh! It went in! Mullins delivers! Bedlam here!
I mean, what does choking look like? Because I want to give credit to what UConn did. They clawed back into a game they shouldn't have gotten back into. They were down 19. They were down 15. They were fortunate to be down only 15 at the half. And Mullins is a name for all time now, correct? Like, we're putting him in the pantheon as a name that introduced himself to America for all time because he did the thing that sports fans love the most. It's not just Duke losing. It's Duke choking. What were your thoughts on that final sequence? Because I'm the guy, Amin, all the time who wants to celebrate the victor for the positive things. But this was the collapse of a bunch of Duke players who should be undefeated this season. I did not recognize Isaiah Evans. That's a great basketball player. Didn't recognize him in this basketball game. Falling down, just allowing fast break baskets because he was just completely invisible. How does Duke lose that basketball game other than breaking down mentally when all you have to do is make sure you break the trap? All you have to do is float the ball up in the air. Just throw it to the other side of the court. Hold it if you want to. Anything but that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things at play. Number one is we see the variability of three-point shooting and how it has a massive, massive impact on the game. Three-point shot defense, we talk about this all the time. It's not your opponent percentage. Like all the numbers, all the studies have shown that for the most part, you don't impact their percentage. What you impact the most on the defensive end is their attempts. Are you taking the shot away? That's a good three-point defense. But if you're saying we're going to let them shoot and miss, you are living and dying with they're either going to make it or they're not, right? And so they shoot 1 for 18. We got this game under control. they start making shots, all of a sudden it exposes all the holes that were there all along, and just you were surviving off those missed shots. That's number one. Number two, I talked about this either last week or 2 weeks ago. You're watching children play basketball. How do they coach that children's game? Yeah, because children are out there who have never been in that position before. I was joking about it with Tony before the show today. Caden Boozer never saw this at Columbus. Like, I'm sorry, like, yeah, he's a great player and a great pedigree and all that. Like,
I mean, it's hard at every level of basketball. They've had to have gone under this exact
a full court
situation,
press. Yes,
dude.
but to Amin's point,
I know at Columbus they would run teams out of the building, but I hear you, and I'm sure John Shire said something in the huddle, or at least I hope he did, because it was a real coaching failure.
Yeah.
I understand they're kids, and where they played at high school, they're usually the bully team, but this is basketball 101. To me, I don't know. I think Shire's kind of skating. That was such a bad coaching mistake.
right. I'm with you on, if we want to put it on Shire, I'm 100% on board for that. I'm saying, as far as the kid goes, it's not, I don't think he made that decision because he's like, oh, I've never seen a full court press before. Oh, well, maybe this will work. I think it's like, oh shit, we're about to lose this game. Like, that's what, he's a child, man. He's like 19 years old, 18 years old. There's no part of this. You guys are like trying to put like Luka Doncic level cool in a kid who's, like we said.
But it's not we're about to lose this game. It's I've got two guys streaking toward the basket for dunks.
Yeah. And you're sitting like you're playing a video game and sitting back in the calm of your recliner and hitting pause on the game to go get a beer before you finish this game. That's not what's happening.
Were they afraid to go to the free throw line? I don't.
I'm not saying like the decision was right. I'm saying that, hey, maybe, just maybe, under incredibly stressful circumstances, people sometimes lose their cool, especially when they've never been stressed like that before.
Duke lost to Texas Tech first couple of weeks of the season by 1 point. They lost to North Carolina, a game that they were leading throughout that was not unlike this game where they lost at the buzzer because North Carolina made 5 threes in the last 5 minutes. A truly absurd game for Duke to lose. But Duke was and is the best team in this tournament. They should have been undefeated. You can like Arizona, you can like Michigan. Duke's the number 1 overall seed. They shouldn't have lost this season. They shouldn't have lost a basketball game this season, and they sure as hell shouldn't have lost that one. Like, you cannot lose as the better team when the other team starts 1 for 18 from 3 and you're up 19 points.
But Dan, that's what we love about March, right? It almost gets to a point where both teams are equal. UConn was a great team this year. Also, I think I saw Hurley's been to the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years. He's an incredible coach. They have an incredible program put together. And that's just one of those games where all of a sudden the playing level was completely even.
And the kid who made the shot as a freshman, but look at the rest of their roster. Those are all veteran players, guys who are juniors and seniors.
They hung Caravan's jersey in the rafters.
No, it's like, this is exactly what I'm talking about on the NBA level, albeit it's different, but the idea that, hey, when you have maybe not better talent, maybe not even equal talent, but close enough, but you got guys who have been there before, it makes a massive difference. Massive difference.
You think Mullins made that shot because of been there before?
No, he's a freshman. I said other than him.
I think he made it because of
Yeah.
You say other than him, but the guy who took the shot, that's a panicked shot. Like
that's a desperation shot.
But they needed 2. Like he didn't have to shoot it from there. And if he had airballed it, we would have been like, "What are you doing shooting it?"
He said after the game that he thought it was to tie it.
Yeah. Oh, really? I mean, that's funny, especially considering what we're talking about.
Been there before.
Because I was going to give Dan Hurley all sorts of credit.
But like, first of all, I preface by saying, other than the guy who made the shot, right? But also, to get in a position to make that shot, they had to make that comeback. They had to persevere under circumstances that were not ideal. On the opposite end, you don't think Duke recognizes, like, this lead was this, and now it's this, and now it's this, and now, oh my God, it's a one-possession game? Like, that creeps into the mentality of players, young players, inexperienced players, in a way that a veteran team would not have choked that away.
I understand the theory of momentum, and I understand how everything gets a little bit tight. Duke's experience in close games this year is we lose them. Because they didn't have that many close games, and this one was a crusher in a way that you saw on their entire sideline how shocked everyone there was.
I was a big believer, though, in what I saw against St. John's, because that was a Duke team that hadn't been in that kind of physical battle all season long. You could see it manifest on the court. Like 7 minutes into that game, Duke realized, we're going to have to tap into something that we haven't had to all season. This team is dragging us into a rock fight, and I thought they grew so much from that. I was so impressed with Duke's ability to climb back into that game, take a punch, and keep rolling. And I thought that they would tap into that, and they were displaying that for a very long time. For them to be undone by between the years stuff after that specific challenge from Pitino and them boys, that was kind of surprising. And it makes me think that Dan Hurley is actually who, like, the internet thinks Tom Izzo is. Like, Dan Hurley is that dude. Three Final Fours in this era in 5 years is crazy.
He's a great coach. Like, I don't think that's ever been up for question, right? Like, I think what he's been able to do is a combination of a guy he's been around the block too, obviously, but also, man, you talk about this era, a lot of it is having older players. Like, we are back to, hey, give me older guys because they're not going to make the mistakes that younger guys do. And because of those mistakes that they make, we are able to capitalize even when it's the youngest among us who's taking that last shot.
Did someone mention St. John's? Did you guys see what Pitino re-signed for? Because he just became the second highest paid coach in the Big East, behind only Hurley, signed through 29-30. So he's going to be approaching 880 years old at the end of this next contract. He's being paid a ton. He's made it all the way back.
Bleh, he doesn't look a day over 30. I'm Fibula.
This music, why did we, put this with vampires? Like, why did we associate this song with vampires?
It was a banger back in the day in Transylvania.
I know, but you think like somebody's like, that's a good vampire song.
It does give off.
Like the guy that made it was like, I didn't make this for vampires, but now we've been overtaken by vampires.
The idea of the guy who made this being like, this is a nice light jam, huh? Wait, where's
well,
this
why
song
are you
going?
playing a guitar?
What?
Why are you playing a guitar instead of an organ?
And Tony's like, I'm visualizing what Tony was thinking this guy when he made it.
It's true, Dan. He used to do it on the guitar, and then they switched to organ. I'm Fibula, the lying vampire.
Wait a minute.
That's exactly.
Maybe he's got like a key organ.
It's a piano.
He's got like a key organ, like a organ-tar.
A guitar, yes.
But organ.
I want to get answers to some of these questions. I don't know. Who is the original vampire? Is it Bela Lugosi? Is that the original movie vampire?
Nosferatu.
No, it was me, Fibula. Trust me on this one.
Okay, look, I need to object to something that you just did there. And I thought it was funnier, okay, the first two times you introduced Fibula telling obvious lies as a callback than you then telling us, what, I'm Fibula, the Dracula, the vampire who doesn't tell the truth. I appreciate the context that you offered, but I found Fibula slightly heavy-handed there. I thought he should have just continued lying to us with just crazy lies like Pitino looks 30.
Well, I'll go back to my good friend George Carlin and tell him that Dan Le Batard doesn't think this is funny.
Jeremy, what is the answer to the question as to how this organ that Chris played with the air guitar became the sound that accompanies vampires into a room?
A, that's an air keytar that he's playing right there, so it's perfectly fine. But B, this is a original composition by not Johann Santana, but Johann Sebastian Bach, and it was used in the 1931 film Dracula. So it then became used throughout Gothic horror films for the foreseeable future, and that's why we associate it with vampires.
It was my idea.
There's something about college hoops this time of year where you tell yourself you're just going to casually watch one game, and suddenly your entire night is gone. That happened to me the other night. I was planning to stay home and keep a game on in the background, maybe pretend I wasn't checking scores every 5 minutes. Then a text comes in. We've got multiple screens set up. That's how they get you. So I said, yeah. I grabbed a pack of Miller Lite on the way. A little while later, nobody's casually watching anything. Somebody's yelling because their bracket is already cooked. Somebody else suddenly cares deeply about a school they hadn't thought about in 10 years. And a game that looked over is somehow tied late. You take a sip, you look around, and realize, yeah, this was absolutely the right move. That's why I reach for a Miller Lite. It's clean, refreshing, easy to drink, brewed for taste with simple ingredients. The original light beer since 1975, and still hitting different. Cheers to legendary moments with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Hey, Roy, buddy.
Yo.
You know that energy shift when the game gets good and everybody, all together, in unison, knows to stand up on their feet?
Oh, absolutely, Mike.
Yeah, you've been at many big-time sporting events. You know that moment quite well. That's what it's like when you take your first sip of Cuervo.
Oh, delicious.
It's the signal that says, we're not checking the time anymore, pal. It's when small talk turns into stories. Cuervo, man, it's that high-five a random stranger effect. That's right. The game is popping. You're hugging people you never met before. That's the kind of energy that Cuervo brings. It's so smooth, so delicious. That's the Cuervo effect. Keep it Cuervo.
America leads the world in medicine development. It matters. We get new medicines first, nearly 3 years faster. 5 million Americans go to work because we make medicines here at home. And not relying on other countries keeps us safe. But China is racing to overtake us. Will we let them, or will we choose to stay ahead? When America leads, America cures. Let's tell Washington to keep us in the lead.
Learn how at americacures.com. Paid for by Pharma.
Dan Le Batard.
It sounds to me like everybody could use a hug because a hug is always the right size.
Stugotz.
All I have put in my body today is 3 cups of coffee and an entire cup of honey.
Go to the penalty box.
Don't let him fool you. He said in the break that he's jittery.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Why did you throw Johan Santana?
It's important because I wanted to get us back to baseball, Dan. You know, Owen Casey started 5 for 10 with 2 doubles and a walk-off homer. That was the trade for Edward Cabrera. And the Marlins started pitching, had 19 innings pitched in their first 3 games. That's as many starting pitcher innings as 3 of the 4 teams that played 4 games in this opening weekend. Their starting pitching was amazing. Their pitcher ERA was 2. Steam, Dan.
How'd you do?
You thought we should go from Fibula to Johan Santana in baseball. That was where your judgment took you. You decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring it back to the Marlins pitching staff.
Yeah, I can't fib with you. I wanted to talk about it.
I think he's really funny. You should definitely not kick him out.
Let's update our tournament here and get rid of all of these Sweet 16 losers that we have. And Jeremy, I don't know what I have to do in this arbitration hearing to get you to turn down the bad jokes by about 99%.
I already have a lot.
Man. You have you? Arkansas, a 4 seed, lost to Arizona. That means this is now gone from our tournament.
Brock Purdy looks like a youth pastor.
Number 11, Texas, is gone from the tournament, lost to Purdue barely. That means this is gone.
Adam Silver looks like an Apple Watch charger.
That one's gone. So many Adam Silvers, but that one's gone.
I'm looking at the Final Four right now, and there's only one remaining Adam Silver in our Final Four. And it's because UConn won with that buzzer beater. Otherwise, all of the Adam Silvers would be gone. So I want to keep updating our tournament here before we get to the Final Four here. The amount of chalk in this tournament made it so that we were that shot away from 3 number 1s and a 3. For all of the talk of madness, it doesn't tend to be a whole lot of madness. The sweetest and the most surprising of runs would have to be considered Iowa, correct? Because they were a 9 seed and because they were lingering around there and they beat the 1 seed.
A lot of takes are flying because these last 2 consecutive March Madness tournaments have been very chalky, and a lot of people are saying NIL. I would remind you, we're not too far removed from a Final Four that had San Diego State, FAU, and Miami in it, with the one big dog in UConn winning the whole thing, and that was the NIL era. I do think that there is something to these programs navigating the NIL waters, having a couple seasons to learn from their mistakes and grow, and that's why you see the bigger programs with bigger budgets getting here. But I think 2 years in a single elimination tournament to start having hot takes flying the way that they are, saying that the tournament's ruined. We're never going to have Cinderellas. We're never going to have a George Mason, Kent State. I also think that that's kind of knee-jerk considering the Final Four shirt from 2023 is objectively hilarious.
Let's look at how Houston got eliminated. The 2 seed lost to Illinois, which scores an awful lot. Houston gone.
Ed Malloy looks like the guy who brushes his teeth in the company bathroom.
That hurts. Number 4, Nebraska is also gone. This one's dead on.
Bo Nix looks like he's a quarterback on a CW teen drama about high school football.
He does.
St. John's is gone, even though Rick Pitino lives forever. That means this is gone.
Scott Hansen looks like an orthodontist.
Number 4, Alabama's gone, lost to Michigan. Michigan looked pretty overwhelming this weekend. What happened to Alabama?
Paul Feinbaum looks like the maitre d' at a fancy restaurant.
Michigan State is gone. Michigan State lost to UConn. That means this is gone.
Adam Silver looks like a pissed-off lighthouse.
And number 2, Iowa State lost its best player, so this was gone.
Kurt Signetti looks like the uncle who comes to your house for Thanksgiving and before even saying hello says, your doorknob's loose.
So that means we've got our tournament, and I'm going to update what happened over the Elite 8 results in a second and tell you who it is that we have left. But I think all the ones that we have left, take a look at this list. I mean, the green ones are the ones that are remaining. Those are all pretty good, and I think people are going to be happy with what it is that our Final Four looks like. But let's get the sound, Chris. Can we get the sound? We played the UConn announcers being excited by the call at the end of the game. This right here is the Lament of the Loser. Look how quickly Duke's announcers go to the rule book and infractions and wanting to make a very quick ruling on something that nobody cares about. Hey, look at those excited guys. One of them was on the court. UConn's not allowed to do that. Where are our free throws?
Bobbled it back for Sarr. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Trying to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 3/10 of a second to go. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical. But with 3/10 of a second to go, Connecticut has the lead, 73-72.
That wouldn't have been a technical if all the UConn players had dropped their shorts at midcourt and mooned the entire Duke bench.
Oh, I feel good.
Up top for the win. Oh, he hit it.
Oh, he hit it. Oh, he hit it. What an insight into Duke's mentality that is.
This feels just like the opposite of Do You Believe in Miracles?
Up top for the win. Oh, he hit it.
Never has there been less emotion with a more emotional moment.
Up top for the win. Oh, he hit it.
He sounds surprised.
Up top for the win. Oh, he hit it.
He would have been less surprised if someone had reached over and thrown his penis into the sea.
Like just top for the win. Oh, he hit it. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical.
You can't.
That part is so good.
He's pointing. He's definitely pointing, right? When he says
That's my favorite part.
Can you guys hear the difference in energy between the first sentence and the second sentence? And then as he's saying it out loud, he's like, oh, this is a dumb idea.
Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical.
He's a fan, and then he goes back into broadcasting.
He realizes the situation.
I'm going to explain something to you guys here that is uproariously funny about what the Lament of the Loser is. That was one of the greatest moments in the history of that sport, and the announcer met it with, oh, he hit it. But a guy runs on the court, and that he met with a lot of enthusiasm.
Smith ran off the bench.
That's how you call what you just saw, not somebody who was a bench player running 1 foot onto the court.
Dan, what you're hearing is the desperation of someone grasping at whatever lifeline they can. I just need to survive. I need one last little bit of hope.
Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical.
He realized how pathetic he was in that moment.
He's like, I need to bring it down a little bit.
Exactly.
Can you imagine if they had called that in that situation?
No. I can't even imagine it.
I just want everyone, though, to fully absorb, okay? You just witnessed One of the greatest moments in the history of that tournament, and what you saw on the sideline is give them a parking ticket.
Jaywalking.
You gotta give them we get a point there.
What's he doing?
What's that guy? Why is that guy happy over there? Look how unhappy I am. And why is that guy on the court? It really showed restraint that only one UConn player ran on the court. And then immediately, I don't know if you guys saw what he did. He immediately then went to the sideline and held everyone else back when he was the only one that needed to be held back.
Hey, you know what that is? Savvy veteran move. Malachi Smith, senior.
The thing about experience, I mean, obviously this makes sense. What you're talking about makes sense. All of these kids are learning how to play basketball. I don't make them children. Cam Boozer's not a child. They're not toddlers, but they are inexperienced and they are learning how to play basketball. But I remember toward the end with the San Antonio Spurs of Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, whenever they won, it's because they were experienced. Whenever they lost, it's because they'd gotten old. I don't believe that experience is what won UConn that basketball game. Making threes at the end is what won UConn that basketball game. And it's not because they have some great experience in coming back in basketball games. They got drowned in the Big East tournament by Pitino and St. John's, and there was no recovering from it. The way they lost to Pitino makes me not believe in that basketball team. I don't think they belong in the Final Four. I think the championship's going to be played between Michigan and Arizona. That Michigan and Arizona are going to play the championship, that is a spectacular basketball game, and that's where it will be decided. And I don't actually mean that as a knock on UConn. They just lost me by the way that Pitino did that to them.
I think, again, I think the idea isn't that experience is a cure-all for everything, but experience allows you to navigate rough waters. In the case of UConn, the experience helped them. We're down, but we're not out of this game. And we know that there's a certain level of execution that we can bring to the table. And obviously making shots is part of execution that allows them to have the belief to go ahead and win this. At the same time, a lack of experience can do the opposite. It can make you doubt yourself in those moments, in those navigating those rough waters. UConn's rough waters, they were down. Duke's rough waters, they were up, but that up was shrinking. How do you respond in those moments? Those little mistakes that allow for those threes to get taken, not just made, but taken. That's what we're talking about here. And those margins, that's where experience comes up. It can never substitute talent. But if the talent is close enough, it can close that gap.
Do you know how weird it is and improbable it is statistically to be the lesser team, go 1 for 18 to start your game, and end up in the Final Four? Go 1 for 18 from 3 to start a game, get down 19 to a Duke basketball team. Are we not in agreement that the Duke basketball team put together the season that deserved the overall number 1 seed? They lost 3 times all season. All of them, they lost by a combined 4 points this season. Otherwise, they're undefeated. A combined, Jeremy, is it even 4? Did North Carolina also beat them by 1? Did they?
I just know they're your new Los Angeles Rams. I will tell you as soon as I see the schedule.
This is the deal, Dan. Someone said it before the show. I can't remember who. But like, that's why they play the games, man. You can have this. The Patriots were the most amazing. Oh my God! And they had a book already written. They already wrote the book. That's how good those guys were.
They lost by 3 to UNC.
Right, and then here come the Giants, who are a wild card. Does that make sense? It doesn't. But guess what? That's why we play the games, man.
Sports.
This is why we're here.
That's great.
Right? Like, this is why we have jobs. Because shit like that happens.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling Just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
Dan Le Batard.
I win in the margins. I'm like
you're Moneyball of sex.
I'm basically Scott Hatteberg.
A lot of
Stugotz.
A lot of walks, but I'm on base.
When it comes to sex,
A
I'm
lot of
Scott
foul
Hatteberg.
tips.
Other dudes, they can be Giambi.
You know your role, you play well?
I know my role.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Well, the thing that I was bringing up during the Shadow Show that I will put in front of you guys again
Dukes of
is,
Hazzard?
in the case of my lifetime, I'm trying to think of something that brings sports fans more joy, not than Duke losing, which is very high on the list, but Duke specifically choking, Duke being laughed at, Duke being, at the end, dumb. The smart school, the school that thinks it's smarter than you, the Harvard of sports, being dumb at the end. You didn't get a lot of chances to do this to Krzyzewski. There weren't a lot of there were opportunities to laugh at them because they lost. There weren't a lot of opportunities to laugh at them because they disintegrated. Because I'm going to say it again. The only other time UConn led in that game was 2-0.
It's just a little weird for like UConn to be the benefactor because like this decade, I'd probably be more sick of seeing UConn, right? I'd have more UConn fatigue than Duke fatigue.
And Hurley is definitely a polarizing figure. He's
way more annoying to like the average sports fan than anybody on Duke. Duke was missing the secret sauce, although they have it with their head coach.
John Shire was pretty annoying as a player. Let me just throw that one out there.
Pretty annoying.
We did miss an incredible coaching matchup, I think, because it was during the weekend. We had Mick Cronin versus Dan Hurley in a coach-off of, like, who could get redder. It was incredible. I was watching, I was like, this is great.
Let me go ahead and update the Elite Eight results because we've lost some teams that hurt. The moment that Purdue left, that means that this also left.
Jonathan Zaslow looks like he says, "Uh-oh, spaghetti-o," when he sees someone pulled over.
Zaslow is skiing. I am told that we will be sent videos of some sort from his skiing escapades. But that means Arizona remains in the tournament, and thankfully Jonathan Zaslow remains in the tournament.
Jonathan Zaslow looks like an off-duty mime.
On a smoke break.
You can argue that Arizona's been a better team than Duke has, realistically, Dan.
Yeah, Arizona's great.
Arizona's 34-2. They lost to Texas Tech in overtime and lost to Kansas. Like, they're one of the great teams, and we're not talking about them.
I mean, they are a 1 seed, and they could have been the overall number 1 seed, and I wouldn't have objected. I was a 9. I was gone. That means this is gone.
Mike McDaniel looks like the barista who asks if you've ever tried journaling while making your oat milk latte.
It's a good one.
Good run.
A little too detail-y.
Good run for that one.
Amin doesn't like that
I've
one.
met that guy.
Illinois, this one's accurate, so Illinois is gone.
Tony Reale looks like the overzealous owner of an Italian restaurant who always greets you at the door with my favorite couple when you walk in.
I misspoke. So that advances.
That's in the Final Four, buddy.
That's accurate, and that is in the Final Four, yes. Tennessee is gone. That means this will not be participating in the Final Four.
Pete Alonso looks like a police officer who, even when he's not working, still asks, "What's your 20?" when waiting for you to arrive.
Michigan deserves to advance. Over the last few years, Michigan is the only team I've seen having 7-footers set screens for 7-footers. Michigan advances. That means this advances.
Michael Smith looks like the high school teacher that motivates his students by sitting in a chair backwards.
100%. I think that's who he is, by the way, like the Tony Allen one.
How do you feel about Duke being eliminated and therefore this being eliminated?
Fernando Mendoza looks like the cashier in a 1960s McDonald's poster.
That's a good one, man.
The hairy arms there and the watch are really good. UConn advances. That means that Adam Silver has only one tournament team this year getting to the Final Four.
Adam Silver looks like a newly opened chapstick.
So, Amin, there have only been 2 schools to be eliminated from the NCAA tournament in 3 straight years after holding a substantive halftime lead in all of the games, 6+ points being considered substantive. It's not a lot of points, but it's John Shire's Duke team the last 3 years and Bruce Pearl's Auburn team 2023 through 2025. There is something Mike was mentioning, and he doesn't have this wrong. He's mentioning that UConn has been more relevant over the last year, but Duke is grandfathered in on hatred literally from your grandfather.
I get that.
Several generations.
I get that, but it's UConn. Like they're great too. They're the ones that I'm sick of seeing. I actually really like this Duke team, and I was kind of like, I know they got Miami guys too. That's part of it. They're missing a little secret sauce, which is also part of it. But I really love the way that they played, especially throughout this tournament. They got a really difficult draw. They were going through like all these henchmen, these big bad bosses at these levels that you would like to see a team like that conquer. Izzo, Pitino, and they were going to smite Dan Hurley, and they fell short there. And again, I think Shire's like, that's the first time that I'm like, ooh, like that's where you miss Coach K. They're recruiting at a very high level, but I just had a very difficult time wrapping my head around like a Coach K team makes that very same mistake. I couldn't see it.
My abuelo didn't really much care for Duke at all. Like, he didn't care about basketball. He's like, why are you playing? Why don't you play baseball? And I was like, no, I'm not that good.
But your abuelo probably cared about Michael Jordan because he transcends all of basketball, and now he's suddenly very available in interviews. Like NASCAR, he's on ESPN's wonderful Sunday morning show, the show that is from another time, a magazine type of show, ESPN Sunday morning.
CBS.
Yes.
The gearhead was just destroyed, Dan.
Oh, no! Did it just break apart?
I lost a lot of gears.
Oh, no. I saw it fall off your head. You turned around like you were going to turn around dramatically to reveal that you were wearing the gearhead.
Can I say, Mike, you were trying to fit it over your headphones, over your baseball cap. Dude, you were kind of playing with fire there, man.
It was. Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes,
it's so many.
The gearhead there are many pieces to the gearhead. It was made lovingly by Mike Fuentes. So now you're very excited because you get to talk about Michael Jordan. He is all of a sudden a lot more available than he was for interviews when he was losing all the time as the owner in Charlotte. Why don't you catch us up, Mike, on all gearhead-related things, and we'll try to ignore that the gearhead itself is in shambles. The helmet has broken apart.
Well, it's important to know that this gearhead segment is brought to you by Cuervo. For every lap. Keep it fun.
Labels out. Labels out. There you go.
Keep it Cuervo.
Attaboy.
So, Martinsville, short track racing, finally back on the NASCAR circuit. Denny Hamlin was bossing this race, as he usually does at Martinsville. But Chase Elliott had other plans at the paperclip, Dan. A pit stop was where this race was won. They take a gamble. They get the short pit stop. Hendrick Motorsports on top for the first time all season. Was worried about them. I know that they can't rely on the 48 car. So, the number 9, the son of Bill from Dawsonville, Chase Elliott, takes the race at Martinsville. But for me, the main NASCAR story was what we saw at CBS Sunday Morning, because it's very rare when you get a Michael Jordan availability. It's only afforded to Peacock for several $1 million, or he sits down with Gayle King because he loves talking about NASCAR. And this dude is a completely different guy around this sport. What I love so much about NASCAR and going to these races is how fan-friendly these events are. If you have pit access, garage access, the drivers are right there. And it's not hard to get. No. It's not hard to get. You can be on the finish line like 20 minutes before the race, and the drivers are all there. And you would think Michael Jordan would be inaccessible to even like a top-tier like fan package. He's sitting right there. You can reach out and touch him if you want, and he doesn't seem to mind it. And I thought the most interesting quote that he had, I know First Take might do something with his like GOAT commentary, saying there's no such thing as a GOAT because everybody borrows from different generations.
Accurate.
But I thought when he revealed he likes being around NASCAR, he's got something to give to this sport, whereas when he's around the game of basketball, he doesn't like his own presence and how it affects the game. He's a myth. He's in many ways larger than the game itself, and that wears on him. And he's got this weird relationship with being around basketball, attending games. Whereas with NASCAR, it's something new. It's something fresh. It's challenging. It's not something that he can put the ball in his hands and be great. It's adversity for him, and he's really gravitating to that at this stage in life. Amin, I know you saw the CBS Sunday Morning piece. What'd you think?
No, I thought about, first of all, the last time I saw him that energized and excited talking about something was probably when he talked about playing baseball, right? Because the idea is like, this isn't a place where I'm a deity, and if I scratch my ear, everyone's like, that's how you scratch your ear on the right side. That's the only way to do it because Michael Jordan does it that way. To like, no, I can just be one of the guys or as close to one of the guys as he probably can experience in his life. But the other thing is also, I know there are a lot of people who are surprised, and I'm like, hey, man, you want to talk about just a good old boy? He is from Wilmington, North Carolina. He is a product of the American South. And yeah, he likes stuff like that. He likes NASCAR. He had a motorcycle team before this. He's built his way up to NASCAR ownership. And this is, it reminds me a lot, Dan, when we have people come on, like famous actors or comedians, and we talk to them about sports, and they light up because like every other interview, you just want to know about, hey, how fun was it to make Anaconda with Paul Rudd? Like, oh, it was great. He's such an amazing actor, whatever. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, what do you think about the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, oh, now finally someone's going to ask me about something that I am passionate about, I'm interested in, that isn't this identity thing that I have to walk with every single day.
Dan, like Kobe, to a very large extent, and A-Rod too, they kind of modeled Jeter, they modeled their behavior around a cerebral Michael Jordan. That there was one NBA Finals that he won after his dad passed where he let that emotion out, but he wasn't this joyful player. He displays more joy on any given NASCAR race, hopping over the barrier and congratulating his driver, than he ever did on the court. And for me, as someone that grew up lucky enough to watch Jordan dominate the game and become bigger than the game itself, it's really strange and refreshing to watch.
Yeah, if you think about it like this, Mike, like when has Michael Jordan been allowed to be a fan of basketball, right? Like even going back to North Carolina, he's been a machine, obsessed with dominating, right? You don't get to have fun with that. You get to just treat it as a serious job, which he has to probably the greatest extent of anyone in the history of the game. NASCAR is like, there's no part of this where he could be like, oh man, let me get behind the wheel. And like, I can't do this. I'm just a fan. Yeah, I own it. Yeah, I fund it. But it's like at the end of the day, it's the joy of, I'm a fan.
I'm going to go back, though, to Michael Jordan when he's in the gym in North Carolina, and I'm going to go next to him, and I'm going to stand next to him when he's at practice, and I'm going to be like, you're not going to believe it. You're going to be the best ever at this, but what's going to excite you is baseball and NASCAR.